Welcome to the fourth episode of our series about John, the disciple who was closest to the heart of Jesus. Today we will explore one of the most remarkable traits of his journey, his deep intimacy with the Master. John was not just a follower. He was a friend, a confidant, the one who leaned his head on the Savior's chest. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to feel closer to God. Your engagement helps us continue spreading the truth of the Word. Now stop and think. Among the thousands who heard Jesus, among the dozens who followed him, John was the one who walked side by side, who remained until the end. What made him so close? What did he see that others didn't? Today you will find out. Episode 4. John and the Resurrection. The disciple who ran to the tomb. The death of Jesus was a seismic blow to the souls of the disciples. In just a few hours, what seemed to be the glorious fulfillment of the messianic promise turned into shame, blood, and silence. The cross, a symbol of Roman humiliation, now held the body of the one who claimed to be the Son of God. For the disciples, it wasn't just sadness. It was confusion. John, the youngest among them, also felt the weight of sorrow, but his pain was different. John did not abandon Jesus. He remained. He saw the blood flow, the final breath, and stood before the end. That image of the Master nailed between two thieves was forever etched into his memory. The beloved disciple saw the Son of Man buried like a criminal, wrapped in linen and tears. Saturday was dark. No words, no hope. The disciples were hiding, afraid of the Jews, fearing they would be the next to be arrested and killed. For John, who had received from Jesus the mission to care for Mary, his mother, the mourning was doubled. He had lost the Master, and now carried the responsibility of comforting the one who loved him most. The silence of absence weighed like a stone on his chest. The sealed tomb in Jerusalem enclosed more than a body. It seemed to seal the end of an era, but John, although shaken, kept a thread of hope in his heart. Jesus had spoken many times about rising on the third day, but was it literal? Could it really happen? At dawn on Sunday, the unexpected happens. The Gospel of John, chapter 20, describes Mary Magdalene going to the tomb while it was still dark. Seeing the stone removed, her heart races. She runs immediately to Peter. And John, the message is direct. They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they have put him. That statement didn't indicate faith, but panic, a new trauma. The body had disappeared. Upon hearing this, John doesn't hesitate. He runs. John runs with all his strength, and Peter runs with him. The text tells us that John arrived. First at the tomb, he was younger, faster. But when he arrives, he stops. He doesn't enter. He looks, observes. Notices the details. He sees the linen cloths lying there. He sees the order, but he does not go in. He waits for Peter. That gesture of John is revealing. Even in a moment of tension, he shows respect and honor for Peter's leadership. He knows his place. He understands the importance of order, though his faith and sensitivity made him arrive first. He does not overstep boundaries. He waits. Peter, impulsive as always, arrives and enters the tomb. John follows him inside. Now both are inside, and there they do not find the body, but they find signs. The linens used to wrap Jesus are there. The cloth that covered his face, folded, placed aside. No sign of haste, no sign of theft. John sees everything. And then comes the simple yet profound phrase. He saw and believed. John had not yet seen Jesus. He had no angelic revelations. But he saw the linens and believed. His heart, trained in intimacy with Christ, recognized the signs before seeing the glorified body. This faith of John, even amid absence, is remarkable. He believed when doubts still lingered. He believed without touching. He believed simply by seeing that everything was just as the Master had said Jesus had promised to rise again, and John chose to trust. His faith was mature. He did not demand visual proof. The friendship, the closeness, the love cultivated over years with Jesus gave him a type of discernment that didn't depend on extraordinary signs. It was enough to see the folded cloth. They leave the tomb. They return home, still unaware that Jesus was already preparing to reveal himself alive. Shortly after, Mary Magdalene sees Jesus in the garden, but does not recognize him at first. She mistakes him for the gardener. Only when he calls her by name, Mary, does she recognize him. Rabboni. Jesus appears to other disciples, to the two on the road to Emmaus, then to the gathered group. But John had been the first to believe. He didn't see the resurrected Christ in that moment, but he believed anyway, when Jesus appears too. The disciples gathered in John 20:19-23. John is present. The scene is symbolic. The doors are locked out of fear of the Jews. Yet Jesus enters. He stands among them, shows his hands and his side, and says, "Peace be with you." It is the first time John sees his Lord after the crucifixion. The emotion is indescribable. That voice he heard so closely, those hands he saw pierced. Now they were there, alive, glorified. John's heart ignites. Everything makes sense. Everything is fulfilled. Later, in John 21, we find one of the most touching episodes of the post-resurrection journey. John and the others decide to return to fishing. They spend the night at sea, but catch nothing. At dawn, a man on the shore gives them an instruction. Cast your net on the right side of the boat. They obey, and the net fills with fish. Peter, perhaps still confused, does not recognize him. But John, ever sensitive, says with certainty, "It is the Lord." John needed no explanation. He recognized Jesus' presence by the way he acted, the tone of his voice, the love in his command, the care in the details. That is the mark of the intimate ones. They recognize Jesus even when no one else does. John understood that the risen Christ was not a myth, nor a distant spiritual figure. He was the same Master who had dined with them, walked with them, wept with them, and now, glorified, remained among them. On the shore, Jesus prepares bread and fish over coals. A breakfast from heaven, a powerful symbol. They didn't need to fish to be fed. Jesus already had the food. He invites them, "Come and eat." John takes part in that moment with reverence and joy. The resurrection didn't just restore Jesus' life. It restored the fellowship that the cross seemed to have interrupted. From then on, John becomes one of the pillars of the church in Jerusalem. His love for Jesus is now love for the church. He preaches, cares, teaches, but he holds in his heart that morning the empty tomb, the folded cloths, the faith that ignited before the eyes saw. John never forgot that moment, nor the race, nor the respect for Peter, nor the quiet certainty that burst into faith. It was there that everything became clear. John had seen the glory of Jesus at the Transfiguration, at the cross, and now at the empty tomb. Nothing else could make him doubt. John's faith would sustain him into old age. He saw Peter crucified upside down. He saw James killed by the sword. He saw churches born and persecution intensify. But he never denied the truth of the resurrection. Because he saw, he ran, and he believed. In this episode, we saw the impact of the resurrection on John's life, how his sensitive heart led him to recognize Jesus' victory even before seeing him physically, how his faith wasn't based on miracles, but on the intimacy built through the journey. In the next episode, we will follow John in the formation of the early church. See how he led with love and wisdom, how his faithfulness continued to shine amid persecution, and how he became one of the pillars of the new faith community. If this revelation about the love between Jesus and John spoke to your heart, subscribe to the channel right now. Comment which part of this relationship touched you the most, and which other Bible character you would like to learn more about. Like the video and send it to someone special who needs to hear about the love of Christ.